Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Gig Money Podcast. We talk with musicians about the side hustles that they use to fund their musical ambitions. I am Cody.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we have Chance Jones as our guest. You might know him from a variety of different things. He's got his hands in a lot of different projects, and he's super, super busy guy. So, Chance, thanks for taking the time out to do the interview. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. I got my hands on a Sprite right now. That's all I have. How are you?
Cheers.
Yo, what is that?
We're doing well. That? We are doing very well.
What are you drinking,
Andrew? Oh, are you talking about mine?
Yeah,
I'm drinking a Wade War koozie.
Oh, I was like, what is that elaborate canning?
I'm drinking Call of Duty juice. Emphasis on the duty.
Yeah, I can't talk about what I am drinking because there's already been a lawsuit about it. So, well, I don't know if you guys have heard, but what is it called? It's fucking liquid death water, like the best water on the planet.
The rich billionaire thing, or the
yes,
dead
that's
billionaire
it.
thing.
Yes. So since I couldn't get my hands on the rich billionaire from Liquid Death, I got myself some of the original. So that's But
okay, so let me ask you this: do you think those cans are going to be worth money?
I saved one.
There's a store local to me that sells like cases of the original packaging still, and like I had to stop myself from buying them out of all of them because I spent 12 minutes on eBay and was like, I'm convinced I can make money off this.
Yeah,
you're investing in yourself.
Yeah, it's true. I got one and I put it up on the cabinet with some of the other bottles, but I am actually, let's see, how many days? 50 days sober at this point. So that's why I'm going with some nice iced tea and lemonade. Thank you. So yeah, that's what's
like
happening.
California sober or like sober?
Nope. Straight sober. Done.
Nothing. He just goes, no.
So yeah. So that's what's up. But yeah. Anyways, let's get into talking about some of your current projects, Chance. What are you doing these days?
So aside from playing with No Resolve, I do graphic design. Honestly, I tend to focus more on like the promotional and marketing side of things, like album artwork. I do a lot of I do predominantly show flyers or ad mats and stuff like that. And then I just got a job with I got a big boy job with a company called CMG Marketing Group. So I'll be handling designing and some social media stuff for them also. So we have a full plate, but I'm ready to eat. So
yeah, and that's something you can do from the road, right? So
yes,
it works
very much. Cool. I'm very blessed to have been able to find kind of a passion that allows me to also pursue my other passion. So, because I couldn't do one without the other.
Yeah.
It's like love and marriage.
Oh man!
I was about to make a really bad
80
joke.
Sitcoms in my head now. Yeah.
Just think of Christina Applegate. That's all.
Yep. Katie Seagal is awesome too. Like my wife and I are big Katie Seagal fans. She's been in so many different things than that, and
right.
Sons of Anarchy is probably the next big one. Awesome stuff. So, yeah. When did you get into graphic design? How long have you been doing that?
I started doing it when I was in local bands and we would need a show flyer or somebody would need to, our friend's band they'd have an upcoming show coming up and they'd want, need a flyer done. So I would naturally just, I'll do it, bro. I got it. And then I noticed that like other friends' bands would be like, "Hey, can you make one for us?" Or "Hey, would," and I just kind of started doing it all on my iPhone. And actually, it was on tour with you. I would watch you on when you would use like you would use Photoshop
Mm-hmm.
on some of the stuff that you would work on, and I would watch you do it, and it was way, way, way more in depth than anything that I was working on my phone. But I remember watching that, thinking like, I think I can do that. I think that makes sense to me. And then it was a few years later. I bought or my mom bought. I can't take the credit for buying it. My mom bought it. A MacBook, and then I got Photoshop and like all the Adobe services. And I just kind of like immersed myself in it. I definitely have never been to college or taken a class on. Yeah, I mean, I'll watch YouTube tutorials and things of that nature, but no proper schooling of any kind. I just immersed myself in it. I love it. I have loved it so much that like it. I enjoy doing it. I've spent hours doing it, just trying to teach myself the Photoshop side of things, and then that
Yeah.
has in sense kind of turned into what it is now, which is a whole lot.
No, that's really cool. And I was going to ask if you had any schooling because uh, I,
I barely made it out of high
I,
school, bud.
I took a couple of college courses in graphic design, and that's kind of. But I started out the same way. I was just like doing show flyers, and like the band needs a logo, the band needs a flyer for this show, the
Right.
band needs album art, et cetera, et cetera. I was just I could do it.
And when
And
you're
then
young, you never
yeah,
think to yourself like, "Oh, I should hire a professional to do this." Like, you think, "Oh, fuck, bro, I'll do it."
yeah, and then that's how you find other things that you're really good at, or other things that you're not good at all, and should never do graphic design. I've seen plenty of those kind of
Truthfully,
show
I would not,
flyers.
because I would have never thought to get into this without having been involved in music.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting the way that works out is, a lot of times people get into a job so that they can support music. And then later on down the road, you get into a job because of music. It's related somehow. So that's really cool. What about some side hustles that you have done in the past?
Legal or?
Well, I don't know if anybody can bring any
I'm
action
joking.
against you. We'll talk the statute of limitations and figure out the timeline there.
The way you do that is I heard somebody once did.
I know a guy that one time he.
Can neither confirm nor
That's how
deny.
you do it. I'm pretty familiar with that guy too. Like I see him every day.
So I would consider myself blessed, but the majority of the jobs outside of playing that I've had are involved in music. Before I joined No Resolve, I was teching for the band Hinder, and I was very happy doing that. I would probably still be doing that had I not joined No Resolve. And then I was still doing design out while I was out with them teching, and then before that, I was doing bar bands, doing the like, which I would that's a hustle in itself. The 4 hour or 3 hour, 9 to 1 gigs, those dudes are tough because that is very, very, very hard.
Yeah, definitely. You talking about like cover band style, or
Hey,
just
dude.
fill out a
Hey,
night with
dude.
music?
I take that term offensively, okay? With No Resolve does covers.
Tribute.
Chill out with that. I'm just kidding. People like to hate on us and be like, "This is not a real band, dude," because like they didn't even write that song, dude. And we don't care. We do it because we enjoy it. That's.
Like Taylor Swift writes all of her own songs. Yeah, serious.
I think she. I mean, I don't know. She probably doesn't, but she also does no wrong, in my opinion. I'm a Swiftie. I'm a Swiftie through and through. I was honestly invested in the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift. I'm going to be honest.
All right. Well, I guess we're just going to have to terminate this interview right now.
We're done.
Did she play? Was she in the football game?
Yeah, dude. Her
Football
team
game?
was in the Super. Her team was in the Final Four.
Oh, she owns the team. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's her team.
Oh, I thought she was out there like running with a football and stuff, and you're like, "Go, Swifty, go!"
But I mean, check this out. Like, what if? Okay, so this is all very hypothetical, but like, let's say that her and Travis Kelce have a bad breakup, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna ruin your life." Buys the team and just completely takes the team to shit. Like, that could happen. I don't
Definitely
know why. I don't know why I brought that up, but
It's a conflict of interest.
It totally is. It totally is. But I think, touching on that point, who writes what, I think there is like a certain amount of mystery behind how things actually get written. People don't really realize, because even, some of your favorite bands that you think write all of their own music, bring in a producer or a ghostwriter or something like that. And, that making some of the best music requires having, a variety of different input, especially from people who can take it and give a fresh ear to it and give a listener's point of view, rather than, in a band, you're writing music and you fall in love with it. It's your child, right? But
very much.
if you have to separate yourself from that, if somebody tells you it's not that good, maybe it's really hard to hear that, but that's how you make some of the best music, is, taking some of that outside input and working on it. So
As long as it's constructive, I mean, you don't want people
Constructive,
being
yes.
out there like, "You suck," but it's like, if you think it's bad, tell me why, and then we'll work on that.
yeah,
If you love what
Yeah,
you do,
totally.
if you love it that much, wouldn't you want to know that you suck though? So you could work on not sucking.
Just be oblivious.
Yeah,
I mean, you could go that route too.
totally. Yeah,
I mean, there's a genre and a niche out there for everybody, So who knows? Maybe that person who thinks you suck and they don't like anything you do doesn't matter, because maybe there's somebody else out there or an entire group out there that would be like, "Oh, I love that music." So,
Very much.
I mean,
Agreed.
sometimes you just shouldn't give up.
That's always the advice that I actually give people. Like when they ask me, like, what advice would you give young and upcoming guys? The guys that make it are typically just the guys that didn't go home. They were the guys that stuck it out. They were the guys that when they got knocked down, they stood up and kept going. Now maybe that doesn't always mean
get up again.
full sprint. Like that doesn't always mean you're full sprint, but that's just forward motion. If you can maintain that, like that amounts to something. What that is typically up to, it's circumstantial.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely dedication is one of the things that sets people apart. When this music industry is different than really any other industry. Like, getting a degree from college or university of some sort doesn't really get you a better job in the music industry. There's a lot of stuff that you have to learn on the road, you have to learn in the studio, et cetera, et cetera. So
That
and
a
there are so
classroom
many
cannot.
different. Yeah, and there's the music industry has tons of different jobs that aren't actually pertaining to performing music or writing music. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. Like graphic design, the music industry needs graphic design.
And I spent a lot of time on like Indeed or LinkedIn or something like that. That's kind of on the corporate side of things, and I noticed that I don't really find much luck there because I don't have that college degree part. Like if you look at my resume, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but my resume is very much something to be proud of. And I find that a lot of the trouble that I have is that, like, you go to click apply, and you can't even submit your application because you don't have a college degree.
Mhm.
So your resume doesn't even get in front of those people. Which, not to sound like, oh, woe is me, and play the victim or anything, because that's definitely not how I feel. I just figured out that wasn't my route to success.
Yeah. Another thing that comes into it that we talk about a lot is networking, like just talking with people. The music industry is a collection of people, and word goes around. If you do good work or if you do crappy work, people are going to talk. And, whether or not you have a college degree comes kind of secondary to, are you actually good at what you do? So
So,
I think that's
because
what's different.
on the in that email that you guys sent yesterday, it talked about the worst experience that I've had in the side hustle world, and I believe this is a great opportunity. This is a great segue into that story. This actually happened recently. I had a client that accused me of giving him an AI generated logo, uh, because he wanted a refund and I would not give it to him.
Mm.
This was, I mean, 8 months after he was like, "Yeah, man, looks great," and then he came back one more time and wanted one more little change, and I was delayed on getting him that, and I took full responsibility for that completely. Like, full disclosure, I fucked up there, but he was like, "Hey, man, I'm having somebody else work on it," so I stopped working on it because
Hmm.
he said he had somebody else working on it. So 8 months later, I was coming home from a tour and I opened my phone. I had a message that was, he asked if he was going to get a refund or not. And I was like, man, I feel really bad because I didn't know that you were waiting for one, because I would have told
Oh.
you that that's probably not going to work months ago, because I had spent hours completing the project already.
Hmm.
Like, that's not how this, and I never agreed to not make it right.
Yeah.
So he tells me that, I am in fact going to give him a refund, because and the time that I put into it wasn't relevant to the situation, and he told me how it was going to be, and I don't know if other people do business that way, like that they pander to that kind of thing, but I do not. Like, I don't deal with people being rude.
Hmm.
So I just didn't answer I didn't even respond to the message, because it's like, let's talk when you're chill. So months later, I get a comment on Facebook the other day. This guy's like, "Still waiting on my refund for that AI generated crap that you gave me." Mind you, I'm not smart enough. I just downloaded ChatGPT, like, I don't know, a month ago. So, like, and you have to have the paid version to even make it generate pictures anyway.
Yeah.
Uh,
So therein lies a conversation in and of itself, that AI generated artwork, because you were asked to make a logo. He didn't specify how he wanted you to make the logo. So if it
but I
is
can show you the
AI generated,
I can pull up the PSD file right now of
yeah,
of that logo.
yeah, you probably have a history behind it too. Like undo, 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 undo. And you can see just several different like
Yes.
layers of that. But even if it is AI generated, he's paying you to create it. And if the argument is, well, I could just AI generate it myself, why didn't he? He didn't. He asked you to do it, and if he was happy with the logo, then it's worth whatever. It's a tool to create. It's just making it easier. You making the same argument as to, like, well, people don't use paintbrushes anymore because they're doing everything on a computer. People still use paintbrushes, but if you can do it on a computer 10 times quicker, then why not be more efficient?
I always tell people, especially clients that, like, I'm not necessarily familiar with them outside of designing, or something like that. I always tell people I'm self-taught. I would I'd consider myself honestly still a greenhorn in the sense of, I'm always looking to learn stuff, and I may not nail this project the first time, but work with me. Let it might take me 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times of going over this design before we have it exactly where it needs to be. My my goal is always still, regardless of how many passes it takes. Like, it's my goal is to always make sure that it is the finished product is what the customer wants. And I would never leave somebody hanging like that. Like, I would never just up and ditch somebody and be like, "Yep, got your money, see ya." Like, I don't operate that way. However, like, in that same sense, like, don't comment on my social media and accuse me of generating like now I'm just never gonna talk to you again. Like,
Yeah. It's just, it seems like a situation where communication would have helped. And, you took credit for it. It could have been improved on both sides. But, that's just, you know, ask somebody to do something for you. You commission something, you commission a logo, you can commission artwork, whatever. Somebody actually works on that, spends time on that, and then you're not happy with it. They still put time on it. They're still worth the work that they put into it. So, but giving refunds at the same time is like how you kind of like make things nice with people. And if you're the kind of person that's not willing to, kind of suck it up like that, then, you get a bad reputation as a jerk and nobody wants to work with you. So, it's a fine
I
line.
was still willing to
And
make it right. That was my problem, was that I thought I wasn't supposed to work on it anymore. I didn't know that when I was told to not work on it, that meant that I was going to refund him because I would have, I send an invoice out every time, I commission something to somebody, and it says clear as day, no refund. Like, you're paying for what you're paying for is the time.
mhm.
Because the finished piece, you will get the finished piece. Like, that's whether that might take one pass or 50. Like, we'll get to the finished product. But yeah, it was just when everything started, when he started leaving comments on my post, and I was sending him messages like, "Hey man, I'd really like, I'm trying to resolve this," and he wouldn't respond to the message, but he could respond to comments on his post. I was like, "All right, I lose, I guess. I don't know."
And when people take like several months to reply to you and say, I'm unhappy with it, you're kind of like, personally, I would be like, I mean, you've had several months to look at it.
We're
So
talking 8
why
months.
all of a sudden?
So that sounds like a nightmare situation.
I was gonna say
Especially,
nightmare, right?
yeah, yeah. What about like what? So that would be a worst experience in one of your side hustles. What about the best experience in a side hustle?
Doing this podcast.
Sweet.
That's a good answer. I like that answer.
So probably getting to design t-shirts for Hinder's online web store. That's probably my highlight. Another one was getting one of my designs put in a magazine that I used to read when I was a young pup. It was Revolver and then Outburn.
Not Playboy.
Nice.
Getting seeing that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've been able to use a lot of the connections that I've made through music to kind of push and further, designs. I would have never got to design shirts for Hinder had I not teched for him, sooner. I would have never gotten a piece published in Outburn or Revolver had I not, it was a band that I used to play drums for back in the day. So as Cody was talking about earlier, networking is, I think it's the make or break.
It's huge.
a successful career or a mid-level career or no career at all.
Yep, that's very true. So let's touch on a little bit of. Well, we want to hear some tour stories. So,
Oh shit!
you've been on quite a few tours over the past few years, and so let's touch on some of the best and worst tour stories that you've got.
The juicy content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the stories I can't tell.
I'll answer this question.
Heather just said in the background. She said, "I'll answer that question."
Does that bypass like the legal stuff if she says it?
I'm not sure how that works. I'll consult some lawyers and get back with you on that, and we can do a follow up episode if we
we'll follow
if we
up.
need.
Yeah.
Well, let me say the best thing to do is to say, I know a guy who
Can neither confirm nor deny,
Um.
as bands do.
So, like, are you talking like a horror story or like something cool? Because I don't want to sit here and tell a bad story if
All right,
it's not what you want to hear.
Let's start with the worst. Like, what's the worst like tour experience you've ever had that you can talk about legally? Well, I'm sure there's
Cody,
no legal implications there.
There's not, but I don't want to bury anybody. I've been pretty blessed to have not had anything too terribly catastrophic happen on the road. I can tell you this, and this is I guess this is a little more serious than everything else that I've said, but I battled drug addiction really hard on tour, and touring while battling substance addiction was one of the hardest things that I've probably ever gone through. This was even after we had toured together. It ended up getting worse after that. I have a knack for home run there, but there were I did a lot of damage to my relationship with my girlfriend. That probably would have never happened had I had been sober. Had I been able to put the shit down. A lot of problems with my family that would have never happened had I been clear-minded. And if you can ask anybody this, if your home life sucks, life on the road is equally, if not much harder. So being able to kind of get through that and make it out on the other side, I would say that's probably been the hardest part of touring. But then, yeah, I'm gonna cry. But like then, on the flip side of that, the best part of touring has been being able to see the world sober, like being able to, experience all of that somewhat level-headed. Like, I'll always be me, which is not level-headed. So yeah, now that I've done and fucked the mood up.
Yeah, well, it's important to talk about too, because I mean, you're not the only person to deal with these kind of things. I, had some problems myself, like I mentioned earlier. I'd gone completely sober, this year, and it's very, very difficult in a touring kind of lifestyle because a lot of people don't really understand what a day looks like when you're on tour. It's not all it's cracked up to be. You see a lot more gas stations and truck stops than cool stuff. And
I like truck stop, man.
it's just like your sleep is never as good as it could be. And some people like start relying on stuff to help them sleep. And then you get too drowsy and you need something to help you wake up, and it just becomes this constant cycle of needing something to change yourself. And a lot of people rely on hard substances for that, and it can become a very, very serious problem. And just for you having dealt with that and coming out on the other side of it, that's amazing. That's awesome. You should be very, very proud. So.
I don't know if you guys are religious or not, but I don't take the credit for it. I'll say that. I don't know that I would have been able to do it by myself because I kind of suck at things. So I give that credit to the higher power. But
well, that's good. You're investing like your life, your being into something greater, and that's pulled you out of a lot. I think that's awesome. So
I'm easier to be around now that I'm sober too. I think everybody that is close to me would agree to that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a thing. When we went on that tour together, I thought, I didn't know that you were going through anything like that, but I felt like you and I got along pretty well as far as everything is concerned, and I look back on that fondly. You're a awesome guy to hang out with. So
typically, when you're in a band,
I appreciate that. I don't look back on that tour negatively. I don't want. I definitely don't want. I don't want you to think that I look back on those times negatively at all. That was some of the. I actually that's where I met. That tour was how I met. Do you remember David Nestor? He was All That
Sounds
Remains
familiar.
drum kit.
Oh, yes.
So I've stayed friends with him since that tour. I just went and saw him the other night. He works for Disturbed now.
Oh, awesome.
And I got to, I stay in contact with him. I got to catch up with him. Attila's merch guy, John, he was Falling in Reverse's media guy. So he was on that same tour.
Oh.
So, I made friends and I made connections that, I still keep up with to this day. Dave is a very dear friend of mine, like outside of music. Like most of the time when we talk, it has nothing to do with drums or music. Like it's life things,
Yeah, that's super cool. And, comes back down to networking.
Yeah.
Making friendships.
I like to,
along the way.
I like to think about my old band days very fondly.
I was going to say, hey, now.
We all know how band life is. Come on.
There's always some manner of fondling.
Always.
My connection must be bad. I don't know. I can't hear you guys, so I have no part in this conversation.
Oh, okay. Cool. We can say whatever we want about him. That's a cool hat.
Stop it. I'm going to cry.
Stop, dude.
Well, okay. So, that it was good to touch on that. I think, a lot of people might relate to what you had to say about, your addiction problems, but we want to hear about, so what is the funniest thing that has happened on tour?
Oh, man. All right, let me think about this. This is hard because some names and places might have to be changed.
You know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy.
As bands do.
Okay,
You got to deliver. You got to deliver now because the suspense is building.
So there was a band that I had toured with, and to celebrate the conclusion of a successful tour, we decided, or not like decided as in against his will, he decided, because this has happened before, but to celebrate the conclusion of a great tour, we lit somebody's nutsack on fire.
With consent.
Like for real.
You said there's consent.
Yeah, 100%. He would like, and there is there is documentation of this, but I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
But there's a video where he's got his thing in his hands and he's stretching it, getting it ready for a coating of hairspray.
Hairspray. Okay, I was gonna ask what
Yeah.
accelerant
Oh,
you
yeah.
used.
We're safe about it, dude. Fuck. And then after a nice coating of hairspray, you just somebody lit it, and there was one trustee was responsible for the water and to put it out when the pitch of the scream got high enough.
Did you have like a tuner app open on your phone? Like, all right,
It's a recognizable.
it's a high C.
He knows when when it hits that certain tone that it's hot, so he pours it out.
Can we touch on that a little bit more?
I mean, sure.
Touch on the nutsack. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just thinking of it fondling. Fondly.
I think back on it fondly too. Like I said, it was a great way to wrap up a very fun tour.
Yeah.
That
definitely would need to be wrapped.
Yes, safety first. So where did this happen? Was it what kind of like enclosed space were you guys in?
We were outside.
In a room?
We were outside.
You were outside. Okay.
I just I imagine
he just whips it out and you and spray the hairspray and light it up.
Yeah, we knew it was gonna we were like, hey, everybody gather around, dude's gonna do it, and I was
sell tickets.
I mean, you could have.
Wow. Okay, that's crazy. We haven't heard that before. So
no.
I'm very proud to be witness to it.
That is amazing. Yeah, I really don't know what to say about that.
I'm glad I could share that with you then.
Got the visual in my head. And I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how when you light hairspray, it's like a blue flame. It looked badass, dude.
That sounds spectacular.
Testacular, if you will.
Testacular.
So he had blue flames and probably blue balls after that.
Yeah, one could say that.
I prefer a nice roasted nuts mixture.
I'm more of a Sprite guy myself.
Fair enough. All right.
But
well,
you didn't think that was going to be my answer when you asked me that question.
Oh yeah, we could not have seen that coming.
Nope.
But it sounds like the 4th of July, just a spectacular celebration. Should have put some bottle rockets in there.
I've seen somebody shoot bottle rockets out their butt before.
Yeah, just do that at the same time. Why not? So yeah. Here's goals for future, celebrations of tours.
Yeah, I'll consult the team at the next meeting.
Consult the team and the lawyers. You got to make sure it's all above board.
We don't tell them till after. We just tell them sorry, but we did this.
Yep. Ask for forgiveness and not permission.
That's how it works. As bands do.
As bands do. All right. Well, I think at this point we are getting on to asking you the single most important question that we ask anybody. And it's really serious. So I'm going to let Andrew take over here.
Yeah, so this is always the question that needs to be answered, and we have to always ask it like we always do. And so the question is, Chance, do you like pancakes or do you like waffles?
Fuck, dude. Both.
said both.
Both. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
keep-
Both.
I don't keep my finger like this without liking both. But okay.
Well, you hear it here.
All
Chance
right. So
does
here's the
both
thing.
ways.
Now, if you guys really want to fucking get into this, we can get into this because
It's the
I've
most
thought
important
about this
question.
before.
Yeah.
So are we talking about like when you say a waffle, are you talking about like continental breakfast at the Holiday Inn kind of waffle? Are you talking about at like Waffle House? Like where does it
Said
what
it.
kind of waffle are we talking?
He said Waffle House.
As far as the pancake side, are we customizing the pancakes? Do I get a choice of syrup? Do I get to control how much syrup? Like there's a lot of variables that I would want answered before I made a decision like this.
Well, what if you could do both with both?
Then I have then there you go.
That you would do them both. But what if you only had one opportunity, one shot, one opportunity? Would you take it?
See,
So would you have waffles or would you have mom's spaghetti?
So, okay, you would think with No Resolve being in Detroit that I would have tried that restaurant because it's supposed to be really famous, but I have not, and I need to make an effort to do so.
Yes, you definitely do. I've heard
You don't know what I'm talking
some
about. You know the
pretty
Mom Spaghetti
spectacular
special
things.
restaurant.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
also
Yeah.
there's also one in New York, isn't there?
I don't know.
I think there's but yeah, absolutely. Eminem is from Detroit. So
I'm gonna
that's-
choose
what's up.
pancakes based off of the fact that like I think I like a pancake like leftover in a to-go box. Which one is going to be stronger? The pancake is going to be stronger because you can reapply the syrup, and then you've got a syrup like filled pancake with reapplied syrup. That wins all day long. I
Okay.
think.
All right, so I see what you're saying because a waffle, when you first get it, is nice and crispy. And you can
Yes.
fill up all of the tiny little cups with syrup. But if you try and take it to go, where is the syrup going to go? It's going to run all over the place. It's not going to stay in the waffle. But the pancake
Or
soaks up all the syrup.
it'll absorb in the waffle, I guess, but it absorbs in the
Maybe.
pancake. I think better.
Yeah, the pancake is nice and thick with the cakiness that you can absorb the syrup. All right, so just get rid of the waffle and the pancake, and you can have a bowl full of syrup. How about that?
You can
See, that's what
reapply
I.
syrup
But
to
I
the
would
syrup.
have chose that. I would have chose that before waffles or pancakes for sure. I'm a band dude. Of course, I'm choosing cereal.
Okay, so I don't know if there has been a single time we've asked this question that somebody has not brought up Waffle House. So, yeah, I mean, at some point we're going to get sponsored by Waffle House, and it's going to be great. It's going to be
I do.
fantastic. I have one
I
around the
like
corner
waffle.
from my house.
I've never gotten a waffle at Waffle House though.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I say. Is
Who are
A lot
you?
of the time,
I do the hash browns, dude. The hash browns.
they're
I do a
good.
full plate of hash browns, like smothered, covered, chunked, diced,
Yeah, they got the
smoked,
country
whatever
gravy.
the fuck.
All right, so I guess if I were to ask you, you wouldn't be able to answer Waffle House waffles versus. That's why you're on the pancake train because you haven't tried Waffle House waffles.
You think
And
that's
the
why?
thing. Yeah, I know that's why.
I can't say that I haven't tried. I can't say I've never had a Waffle House. That sounds fucking absurd. But it doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't stand out. It doesn't stand out.
Well, a lot of the allure of going to a Waffle House is not always the food. Sometimes it's the crazy shit that you might see there. People
The
getting into
atmosphere.
fights and whatever, what have you. Crazy
It's
stuff.
for those with a fine dining palate.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I go because I'm so posh.
Listen, boys. I'll tell you this
Refined.
though. I will get bloated as fuck on Cracker Barrel.
Okay, so does Cracker Barrel have waffles and pancakes?
Yes.
I assume they have both. And
Of
if you
course
go
they
to
do.
Cracker Barrel, you would order pancakes, right?
I would order hash brown casserole.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't. So this is a null point.
What is in a hash brown casserole?
Not pancakes or waffles. He's like, I know, dude. That's why I asked.
We're seeing a theme here, and it's that you don't like waffles or pancakes at all. You like hash browns. That's what it is.
Potatoes.
Oh shit! Yes.
Potatoes.
I just realized that I just got done talking about Waffle House hash browns, and then I'm like, no, dude, hash brown casserole.
When it comes to breakfast, hash browns rule in your household. So I think we can see. I wasn't willing to accept that you chose pancakes over waffles, but knowing that you would prefer hash browns over all of them, I'm okay with it. We can allow
Me
it.
too.
We can meet in the middle on that.
Yeah. I like hash browns. I mean, hash browns are great.
Yep. nice and crispy too. You get the extra crispy hash browns, and it's like a giant like patty. Yeah.
Oh, you
Or
heard me.
an actual hash brown patty like you can get at certain restaurants.
It's like a potato chip with extra potato.
Yeah, extra grease too. The good stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, Chance, thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate your insight and sharing your
Thanks,
side hustles.
Laurie.
Yeah. So, everybody out there in listener land, please continue to listen, like, rate, review, leave all of the interactions
Fondle.
on our, do the fondling. It helps us get in front of more listeners so that more people can hear Chance's wisdom, except when he's talking about pancakes, which is wrong.
Make sure you touch on that subscribe button.
I have been called a butt rock
fondle the
sensei in
liker.
my time.
You've been called a lot of things. And I've been called a lot of things. And, a lot of things we were both called on the same tour. So, yeah, with that being
Been
said,
called stuff before, okay?
with that being said, thank you guys for listening. We will see you guys next time.
Bye. We're waving.
We're waving.
Every day I'm hustling.